Hi, and welcome to my Messy Muse, a place for kidlit peeps to embrace the messiness of their everyday lives. Through interviews with fabulous kidlit talent, editors, and agents who share their own personal struggles, we will inspire your kidlit journey. I'm your host, Michele McAvoy, an author, attorney, and mom of two whose life is really, really messy. I turn it around almost every single day, and so can you. Welcome to episode 7 of my Messy Muse. Today on the podcast we have Kathie MacIsaac. She is a librarian extraordinaire from Canada. Today she gives us ideas and activities for Multicultural Children's Book Day, which is January 25th. Take a listen. We have on the podcast today Kathie MacIsaac. She is a librarian up in Canada, so she's a little far away from us here in the States. But she's a fantastic resource for all things children's book literature, and I go to her often for advice on book lists, etc. She's in charge of the children's department at the Headingley Municipal Library. Am I saying that right?
You bet. Yep.
Yeah. So she's been the head of the children's department for the past 3 years. She's been a librarian there for 10 years. She sits on the Manitoba Young Readers' Choice Award Committee. She's also co-founder of MG Book Village. So we're really excited to have her here on the podcast. And again, thanks for coming.
Well, thanks again.
So I asked Kathie to give us some information and some insight into the programs that she provides to her young patrons that really catch on and that she finds useful to engage them in literature and engage them in the love of reading. And one of those activities that she has come up with is sort of like a passport that really allows the kids to explore the library and various books. And she's going to dive into that activity and how it would work if you ever wanted to duplicate it either as a librarian or a teacher for those teachers and librarians that are listening to the podcast. The activity that she's going to describe is really meaningful for Multicultural Children's Book Day, which is coming up on January 25th. So Kathie, tell us about this program that you've come up with for the summer for the kids.
Well, each summer, I would run that summer reading program, and I'm always looking for ways to get the school-age crowd to come into the libraries. You know, that can be a difficult age where kids are finding other things that they want to be doing, and summers are busy with holidays and that sort of thing. So, and I also want the library to be more than just books. I want it to be a place where you can come and hang out and explore, and it to be a place that's welcome, especially because we live in a small community, and so I like it to kind of be a central hub. So what we've been doing the past couple of years is a summer reading passport. So every child who signs up for the summer reading program gets a little passport that I make. They're very simple. They just kind of have a cardstock cover and pages inside. And I come up with a badge for every week. And the kids then have to do usually 3 or 4 different activities to be able to get a badge. And then there's a bonus activity that usually they have to take home to finish to come back and show us what they've done, and then they get a little badge to put in their passport. And so by the end of the summer, generally we have in the neighborhood of 10 or 11 badges that the kids can earn. It's a program an idea that can be used in multiple different ways because it could be used as a summer reading program, it could be used as a school library, classroom library, and you can just put your own little tweak on it. So the tasks that I have on mine for the summer, they're never related to reading, so it's not reading incentives, but it's a way for the kids to learn about the library and to explore kind of what we have to offer in the building. So, and it's a good way for them to get to know the staff and interact with the staff. So for instance, one of the birthday badges that we did this past year because it was our library's 25th birthday. So the kids had to come either speak or sing happy birthday to one of the librarians.
Oh my God.
Tasks they had to do. Yeah.
I love that. Did they do it? Was there a lot of singing?
They did, yeah. And they had the option. They didn't have to sing, and I sang with them if they wanted that option as well. But other times it's like go and ask the librarian what the name of their favorite book with a dog in it was, or something along those lines, so that the kids know that they can come and talk to us and ask us questions and that we're really approachable. Another thing that we've done is to get them to use the iPad, because we aren't always staffed in our children's department for like evening hours. So we have an iPad that's available for them to be able to search. So some of the questions will have find a book by the author Jacqueline Woodson, and so they'd have to put Jacqueline Woodson into the iPad and then come up with the name of the title. So some of them are really simple like that. Some of the take-home tasks are like for the birthday badge, they had to make a library card, or sorry, make a birthday card for the library and bring it back. We put a big display on the wall. So, and then we have prizes that we give away in the summer. None of them relating to reading, but you can earn ballots through earning the badges that put your name in the draw, and then we do draws at the end of the summer. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the ideas, I really like the ideas for a lot of different reasons, but the first that I'm hearing from you is that it's not really a activity to get them to read necessarily. It's activities that are involving getting them more comfortable being in the library, interacting with the librarian. And I think that's fantastic, because I know when I go to the library with my children, and I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, I would say to them, my daughter would say, do they have Pinkalicious books or something like that? And I say, well, why don't you go ask the librarian? And it's like, oh, there's a fear, because it's an adult, number one, and then it's, a person of authority too in the library, right? So I said, no, just go up and ask, or they like it when I give them the books and say, okay, no, honey, you check it out. Like, you take the card and you check it out, and they really like sort of that interaction and that independence. But some kids need a little bit of a push, especially kids that don't go into the library that often. So I think that it's fantastic to have activities that are both reading tasks involved, and also activities that help them to sort of interact and just become more comfortable with the library. So I like that you could use that in this way.
Well, and in a public library too, half the battle is getting the kids actually into the library. And once they're in here, then I can do my job. And what have you been reading lately? What are your interests? And I can do some book selling that way. But we have to actually make something make it more of an appealing place to come when you've got so many other options out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And to use this activity, what I'm hearing is we can do a mix. So I know when you do it in the summer, you don't necessarily do book tasks with it. But I think in terms of doing it for January 25th in Multicultural Children's Book Day, I would assume that we may want to mix in some book tasks along with the activities. So do you have any ideas on how that would look, that maybe some of our listeners could just do an easy takeaway from this?
Absolutely, yes. So one of the things I was thinking about is you could easily do a badge on a specific country. Like, for instance, you could do an India badge. And two books that I've really enjoyed this past year, middle grade books, one is Ahimsa, and the other one is The Night Diary. And so questions related to either the book specifically, it could be very general questions such as, what's the name of the main character in one of those books, that you wouldn't even have to have the book to be able to do a search like that. Or it could be a specific question on one of the chapters and what happened in this specific chapter, or it could be a little bit of background. I think both books maybe have like author's notes at the back, but it could also be a project to go online and check out the author's websites and find out some more information about where the ideas for those stories came from. So it could definitely be expanded in lots of different ways. It could be even asking something like going on and finding the Multicultural Children's Book Day website, or something specific to that day and event. How long has it been running? Name one of the founders of the group. So lots of different ways that you can certainly ask questions specific for that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And Multicultural Children's Book Day is a day to celebrate diversity in books. So I should mention, and they have their own website. It's multiculturalchildrensbookday.com. And they have the definition of what it means and what they're about. But just to give you just a brief analysis, it's the main characters have a minority point of view or have characters with color in the books. And there are also books that share ideas and stories and information on different cultures, race, religion, language, and tradition. So it's really broad. And I think for the 25th, you could work with this activity with various age groups. Obviously, for, I guess 5th, 6th, 7th grade, or 4th, 5th, 6th grade, you do more of the middle grade books and maybe allude to different main characters, different themes. You can even have them do some looking up in the library, right? Because a lot of the libraries have computers now, so you can look up that particular author in the library. But you can also do this for the younger audience as well. So there's plenty of children's picture books that celebrate diversity in different cultures. And it would be great to do this activity and sort of incorporate some of those books and those themes in different countries in there too. Do you agree with that, Kathie?
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity to take books that don't get a lot of play sometimes on a regular daily basis. It's unfortunate that we have to wait for occasions like Black History Month or something like Multicultural Children's Book Day to make it a priority to have these books on the shelves and on displays. It's important to me as a part of what I do to make sure that kids who walk in the library can see themselves represented. Doesn't matter race, color, religion. And so I try really hard, even in a small library like this, to make it an inclusive place for kids to come. But this is a great opportunity to be able to get those books out, talk about them, and really give them some well-deserved attention. So a couple of picture books that I can think of that are coming to mind immediately. One is called When We Were Alone by David A. Robertson. He's actually a local author here in Manitoba, but won the Governor General's Award for that book last year, dealing with Indigenous issues in that book. Another one would be Drawn Together. That was one from this past year that I really enjoyed. It's not a lot of words in it, but it's about a young boy and his grandfather who are able to connect through art. So two that I really enjoyed that could be on your list. And I'm happy to give you a list of some recommendations that you can then share with your readers afterwards too, because there's quite a few out there that you can use for this day or for any other day in general.
Absolutely. I always hit Kathie up for lists. She is my list guru.
Well, thank you. I love to do it.
She always delivers perfectly. So we will be hitting her up for a list. Certainly. No, I think it would be great for the listeners. And I'll put it in the show notes, not only for whatever websites that we do reference, but to also have a list that they can use both for picture books and for middle grade books to assist in the passport. We will also include the different ideas for the badges. It may be a little bit different from what Kathie has used in the past because she's done it in the summer reading program, but I would imagine that you can, pull up any symbol from the culture that would, reflect that culture in that book, or even something, an illustration or something from the book itself, and just double-sided tape on it and make it a badge. That seems like, really the easiest way to go. And it seems like something fun that would really not only engage the kids, but I think it makes it helps the teachers to sort of inform their lessons when they're working around an activity like this.
I learn a lot just from doing this sort of thing myself as well. It's when you start researching to find out what kind of questions to ask, it's amazing the things that you uncover that you didn't know before.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So before we wrap this up, this is a really sort of quick what you need to know from the librarian's perspective. So before we wrap up, I just want to Kathie to ask you one more thing. This is my messy muse. Can you tell us what the messiest thing about you is?
Oh, that's a good question. Messiest thing about me. I'm a really organized person when it comes to lots of aspects of my life, but my creative side, so whether it be craft projects, things that kind of get spread all over the craft room. So I would have to say creatively, the craft room is a big disaster.
So she needs a cleanup crew in the library whenever you do your activities.
Yes, I'm pretty good in the library, but my craft closet here at the library, you don't want to see it in there.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you imparting your knowledge. As always, I will probably hit you up for lists in the future and maybe another activity in the future as well to share with our listeners. But thank you for today so much, Kathie. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I was happy to be here.
Don't wait for tomorrow.
Thank you for listening. To connect with the My Messy Muse community, please visit us on Facebook at My Messy Muse. To learn more about my books and how to work with me, please visit my website at MicheleMcAvoy.com. That's Michele, M-I-C-H-E-L-E, McAvoy, M-C-A-V-O-Y.com. Thanks and have a great day.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep on chasing the sunshine.